Thank you very much for agreeing to do this project with us.
Oh, you're mostly welcome. Okay.
Could we start with you telling us a bit about your role in the arts here in Curaçao and how long you've been working?
Well, I studied in Holland art history, and I came back to my native island in 1992, and then from then on I'm a resident here again, and I was involved in, for example, a huge exhibit in 1999 called Arte 99, Arte 99. There was a major exhibit of the Dutch-speaking Caribbean, artists from Aruba, Bonaire, Curaçao, Saba, Statia, and Sint Maarten, and also Dutch Antillean artists living in the Netherlands. And that was in a warehouse alongside the harbor of Willemstad, of our capital. And that was a groundbreaking exhibit. And I was involved in 2004 with the foundation of the Artiswa Foundation, together with David Bade, Herman Bade, and Tirso Marta. We did quite a few projects in Curaçao, and also one in Holland. And in 2010, for example, I was when Curaçao became an autonomous country within the Kingdom of the Netherlands. I curated together with artist Felix Leroy a huge exhibition of artists from Curaçao only. This time we concentrated on Curaçao, and that was called Antepassados de Futuro, Ancestors of the Future. And we gave like an historical overview of the first visual imagery from about beginning of the 20th century, end of the 19th century up to now. And it was like a statement, we were becoming an autonomous country, so we wanted to show the public and also the world what we have, what our ancestors did, and what we are making now for the future. So that was a huge, and there was also a book published on the exhibit. And further, I've been traveling quite a lot in the Caribbean. I'm also an ICA member for the Southern Caribbean chapter. Well, I'm asked very often to give lectures about Dutch Caribbean art. That's more or less my specialty.
In relation in particular to that huge exhibition which celebrated Curaçao becoming this autonomous country, could you talk a little bit about the contemporary arts on the island and sort of how that is viewed by both artists and just the general Curaçao public, and how influential would you say that link to Europe is, like in relation to your position in the Caribbean when it comes to the arts?
Well, I think there's quite some resistance from the local public still.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work to do in that field to break those grounds for local people to understand and capture the essence of what visual arts can be for a country that is just starting up. And we got some nice comments from the Netherlands, but we've always been like under the shadow of Dutch, of the former mother country, seeing Curaçao as a sort of appendix of the Netherlands. And we are a Caribbean island, and we are from this region, and you cannot compare what's happening in Europe with what's happening here. So I guess with this exhibit we wanted to show that we have different roots. We have been influenced by Dutch painters who have come here. There's a lot of coming and going by Vienna, as they say in French, from people from the Netherlands. but there's always this very typical Curaçao, or in this case Caribbean, aspect to what is being made here. And I think we should more and more focus on that and not focus as much on Europe as we have done in the past.
I've been traveling throughout the region quite a lot as well. In terms of the art scene in other Caribbean islands, who I guess we also struggle in the contemporary arts to engage the public, what sort of observations have you made in other countries, and how does that compare to the arts in Curaçao?
Well, I guess what you say, we all have the same problem, that there's quite some resistance. It's always considered as being an elite hobby, but you see that steadily and surely things are changing. You have artist initiatives, you have, as we have no governmental infrastructure, and that is typical for the whole Caribbean, we have to constantly improvise on all the important art exhibits and art manifestations and art platforms that are being created in the Caribbean are more or less all initiatives from artists, from aficionados, from people who really love the arts, and that is a typical Caribbean thing. You see it in all the different countries, in Aruba, our sister island, in Barbados, in Suriname, in the Dominican Republic, although they have a beautiful museum there. But when you have no governmental infrastructure, artists become art entrepreneurs. They become art entrepreneurs, and they themselves like gear up things and start initiatives. Just like when we did the Antepasado exhibit, we had to do everything by ourselves. So there was no museum personnel to help us to hang the paintings. I mean, you are involved in everything, in getting the sponsoring and etc. etc. And that's typical Caribbean. But that makes it very, that gives it a very special dynamics. Because when you succeed, you really succeed, and you are very satisfied in the end. But that is very typical for the whole region.
Yeah. So with these sort of artist-led, artist-driven institutes such as the Instituto Buena Bista, how important do you think it is then for these institutes to come together and support each other throughout the region?
Well, I think that's the only way to make these crossroads, these links, because only in supporting each other you can really do something for each other and get. You can bind the structures, and you get more. How can I say that? You get more feedback from how the other artist space or artist initiatives, what their experiences are. I was, for example, just in Aruba, where they had a very small biennial, and it was also completely led by artists and art aficionados, and there you learn from each other, and you can interchange, and you can share experiences. I guess that's the only way in a region where, as I said, there's hardly any infrastructure and hardly any money.
Yes. Have any ideas about how maybe we can strengthen these relationships? For example, I'm here on this project on behalf of Barbados, which is especially between the English-speaking Caribbean, the Dutch-speaking Caribbean, the French-speaking Caribbean, etc. Do you have any ideas how we can begin to strengthen these bonds that you said were so important? Are there other projects that you might be able to think of that we could start to take initiative with?
Yeah, I think perhaps with the Spanish-speaking Caribbean or the French-speaking Caribbean, we could, through personal connections, I think personal connections in the Caribbean region, especially with concerns to the arts are very important. You know a curator, you know another art historian, and that's the way the links are made. I think perhaps with the French-speaking Caribbean, that would be a possibility. I think that's the only way, because we have to support each other, because otherwise it's a very lonely struggle, and the only way you can help each other is through making these interconnections. And now with the internet and with the World Wide Web, it's easier, because traveling in the Caribbean is also quite a problem. First of all, it's very expensive, and it takes like a day to go from one island to the other.
So my final question that I'd like to ask is, well, a team from the IBB will be visiting Barbados in a few weeks. David Bader, Tirza Martha, Eric Habitz, and 3 students. And while they're there, they are also going to be, in addition to working with the art students, they're meeting with artists and curators and these key people who we should be forming these linkages with. And do you have anything that maybe you would like to say to these figures in Barbados, or an initiative or a question you'd like to pose to them, so that we can keep this dialogue going both in Curaçao and in Barbados when they visit?
Yeah, I think it's important for the experiences that the people in Barbados have, for them to link that with the experiences the students and the key figures here in Curaçao have, to exchange those ideas. And I think we should keep on having these conferences, these people coming and going, and I think I would say come again. Let's try to make other connections with other islands. Perhaps something can be thought of when the IBB group is there, and we can try to make a bond with the Spanish-speaking Caribbean or the French-speaking Caribbean, and then we could interchange more of what we all have in common.
Thank you very much for giving such a great interview. That was a pleasure to speak to you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay.